Hi, I'm Danny Coker. I had the honor of being your potentate in 2001. We are bringing you today the past potentates from the last 50 years, one from each decade, telling you about their trials and the wonderful things that they were able to accomplish and what went on within Ansar's jurisdiction.
You're expected to give a lot, and if you're going to do a good job, you have to give a lot, but you also get a lot. It's like most things, you kind of get out of them what you put into them. And I tried to do my best to give them their money's worth.
The membership of the association, the fellowship, have to be the key highlights of happy memories.
It was a part of my life that sometimes I wonder what in the world was I doing there, just an old farm kid, being thrown into such a wonderful bunch of people.
When the new potentate took office and was installed, which was George Kennedy, I was ready to go. I'd done everything that I don't regret not doing anything, because I did it my best.
The Shrine is just a wonderful institution, and I'm glad to say I'm a big part of it.
It's a job that you think you kind of know what's going on, but once you get there, it's something completely different from what you think it is.
It's all about the kids in the hospital and having fun, and as long as you keep that in mind, the rest of it just kind of falls in place.
When I came in, of course, all our business was conducted at the Scottish Rite building, and that was somewhat limited. So in '62, that's when the Shrine had been studying and thinking about it, and Kurt Brecher came in as the potentate. And this is the Ansar that features Kurt's comments. I'm going to read just a little bit of it. I know that's not, but it's the best way to explain what happened. And Kurt appointed a past potentate, Doc Morris, to head a mosque committee. But the crux of it was, and the Shrine did have money. They had $1 million or so about that. We have now reached a financial position where I believe we can give serious consideration to the construction of a mosque and to determine whether we can afford it now. And it was passed that it should be downtown, and this lot was available. And when you look at the lot, I mean, of course, you have to think back 50 years. It was pretty ideal for it was sizable enough you could have some adequate parking. You were still very close to the Masonic Temple, the Governor's Mansion. The Lincoln Franklin Life was a big player in town. Illinois Bell right across the street with a facility that you felt they would never leave. And of course, so much has changed in 50 years that it may not look the same today as it did then, but it was pretty much of an ideal spot. You know, there's always two sides to everything. I think the most difficult thing was that Scottish Rite had just spent over $1 million. Different pots. There was no connection financially. The Shrine rented from the Scottish Rite down there. I think was that some people didn't want to spend the money. And there were a few people that probably would have preferred it might have been a country club type setting out somewhere. But the main thing, I think, was you have older people who just don't want to spend the money, don't think you need it. You can rent it. And a lot of things have changed the last 50 years. So maybe if we knew then what we know now, we would have rented something. I think it was the right decision still. And I think by far and large, that was a consensus of the membership.
76, we had what turned out to be the biggest out-of-town class that we ever had. We had the summer ceremonial in Danville, 264 members in that one class. We had one member get 35 candidates himself for that class. And so that was the highlight of membership for that year. We ended up with 470 candidates for the year, but most of it was right there at Danville. On the trip to Hawaii in March of that year, we brought the first, and I think only, 747 into Capitol Airport here to pick up our members. And I don't think they've had one come in since to pick up people. Well, the pilot, after we were airborne, he said that we had blown out the landing lights along the runways there from the force of the jet exhaust from the engines.
And one of the most important things for Ansar was our circus, as it is today. And for many years, the circus was held at the State Armory. Of course, we had elephants that were stored in the building, and a couple of times they pulled the water spigots off of the wall, and one time they flooded the entire armory floor, and that created quite a fracas. And back then I recall vividly that the Potentates got to ride in on an elephant. And I was chairman of the circus a couple of years, and I got to ride in with Lester Sir Jim Orr in his year. And we were sitting on those elephants waiting to be introduced. And I don't know what the body temperature of an elephant is, but I was sitting there and I had my legs, and it had his ears wrapped around my legs. And his ears were hot, you know, coming right through my pants, and that hair felt like steel wool, and it went right, penetrated the pants. Anyway, the one I was on decided it wanted to look down, and I had a hold of the strap that was around his head, and he just kept going down and going down and going down. The first thing you know, I was looking straight down at the floor before the trainer finally corrected him, and he had raised his head. But anyway, that was quite an adventure to have to ride an elephant. Ceremonials were also held at the convention center, and they were lavish affairs, with the second section being a highlight of the day for the new initiate. And a parade was held from the temple where the first section was held to the armory, and the second section commenced, and those that never participated in the second section at the armory missed a tremendous amount of fun and fellowship.
And we did have a great ceremonial here in '97. All the past potentates chipped in, and they were chairman of every event that we had. And I tell you, the crowd, when I turned the corner down on Capitol that day, I had tears to my eyes, by gosh, because of so many people on the streets and kids, you know, excited about it. We were at a shrine temple, and they didn't have all the light bulbs in the sockets of that temple now. And the potentate and the president of Great Lakes said, we hope to make enough money to buy a fax machine. Now I'll tell you what, there's some temples that were hard pressed now for funds. They didn't have the nobility, the people, and you know, they didn't have the workers, and you know, they were struggling. So Ansar has always had all the lights sockets filled and had fax machines and everything else. So we're fortunate to be associated with Ansar Shrine.
The shrine is divided into 6 or 7 associations. The associations are territorial. So the Great Lakes, every state that touches one of the Great Lakes is in the Great Lakes Shrine Association. So we take in 7 states and Canada, and there's 22 temples that make up the Great Lakes Association. So back in the 2000s, we had 2 Great Lakes conventions a year. We had a business meeting in February, and then the fall ceremonial in September or October. And it was the fall ceremonial that we handled here. So you've got 22 temples, their elected officers, and their parading units, and all come. So it's a big parade, it's a big gala event, and one of the real highlights of the trip, and the Imperial Shrine officers are still talking about it today when I see them at the Imperial conventions. The Lincoln Museum and Library had just opened up, and Danny Coker was successful in getting me in to there, and they worked with me to the point where I was actually able to take the Great Lakes officers through the museum as the tour guide. And that was a big event for me. I really enjoyed doing that for them, and they were just absolutely overwhelmed at seeing that Lincoln Museum. So they still talk about it today. In 2008, Vern McGregor discovered that he didn't discover, he found out that we needed to repair the stairs at the front of the building, which was going to be quite an expansive project that was going to cost us quite a bit of money we didn't feel we had. So he started a very successful building campaign and got individual Shriners and Shrine clubs to make donations, and we were successful enough that we were not only able to repair the stairs and redo the front of the building, but put in an elevator lift. If you're going to get to this point in the Shrine, it has to become your life. You have to just absolutely love what you do.
The travel is probably the hardest part. I'm the farthest potentate away. I live 110 miles from Springfield, so when you get to go to Quincy once a month when you're ambassador over there, 4 hours one way, 4 hours back, that is a little stressful when you get home at 2 o'clock in the morning, 1 o'clock in the morning, then get up and go to work. But I wouldn't trade a minute of it.
And how many miles did you travel?
19,617 miles I put on my vehicles last year. But I also met people in Decatur, and we shared trips there, so I figured I had about 25,000 miles of windshield time.
I think probably some of the big challenge is embracing the new technology. This year we've increased our Facebook presence. We've got a great noble in charge of that, Marvin Gillis. We're out there. He's got some mobile website, so it's just getting that technology and connecting with the newer generations. And I think that's been something that we've been reluctant to do in the past. I think some of the old guard didn't see the value there, and it's definitely doing us well. I think we're getting more of that out.
It was common practice that if you didn't have 100 candidates at a ceremonial, somebody wasn't doing their job. And of course, I know that's not the case now, because I know the membership chairmen are working just as hard as they did back in the 80s.
I don't think the Shrine's doing anything wrong. I don't think they're doing anything a lot different. It's just the world has changed.
We have to work harder for everything. It's just like our daily lives almost. First of all, expenses are higher, taking care of children with orthopedic problems and burn problems, and so therefore we've got to raise more money. Same way with membership.
But when we were over 6,000 and we're down to almost 3,000 now, that's what's really going to be something that we're going to have to look at, because it takes a lot to run this building, this organization, and membership is the main thing. So if we can get younger people involved, get them something to do, get them active, I think that's our biggest area that we need to work on.
Nothing is more fun than smiling. And you don't see many Shriners that don't smile unless they got in too late.
People see that their friends are having fun and having a good time, why they want to be part of it.
But with the Shrine, you know every day why you do what you do. We know that every day, somewhere, we're helping kids live a better life.
It's quite a privilege to have this many nobles working for the cause, and that's to raise money for the children for the hospital. And I tell you, Ansar does a great job raising money from various activities. And I had nothing to do with it in '92 or even today. These guys take it on themselves to raise this money, and I think Ansar is really proud of them, and it's wonderful to be associated with Ansar.
We all the time say the Shrine is the world's greatest philanthropy because we have our children's hospitals, which I like to say they're not free. They're just so expensive we can't charge for them, so we let you come at no cost. Our doctors are the best in the world at what they do, and it's just amazing to be able to say that you're a part of that wonderful organization.
And that kind of feeling you can't really buy, and it's contagious, and you get a little bit of it, you want more of it. You know, the parading, the fellowship that comes with that, the whole package. I just can't imagine why someone wouldn't want to be a Shriner.
The last 100 years has been great for Ansar, and we're looking for a brighter future. We have a brand new hospital in St. Louis. Innovative, can help children in ways we never dreamed of. When I first started on the Board of Governors of Shriners Hospital, our budget was about $25 million, and national-wide, it was about $400 million. Now our national budget is over $800 million. We have a great fraternity that helps kids and has fun too. Here's looking to another 100 years full of fun, fellowship, and philanthropy.